Everything's recording, right? Yep,
Yeah.
It is. There we go.
Scared the shit out of me.
I thought you knew what the hell I was doing.
I did. I thought you were just looking at your very nice fretboard bits.
What's the GoPro even doing? That's the Kent crotch shot.
Because everybody wants that. All right.
Here we are.
Today's the day.
It's the 30th of June.
It's the 30th of June. Today is June 30th, 2024. This is an important day. This is the beginning of a little series where we describe in no legal terms our experiences, Mark and I, of getting the business up and running, the business of Tunguska Guitars as a real thing. So I want to give some context. This is about the name of our company, where it came from and why, and this is the story about what led me to this decision personally. It's been a strange year. So today marks the 1-year anniversary of the career I had getting nuked unexpectedly from a source I would never have believed possible. It was a bad day. And it led to 6 months of not good. A bunch of stuff started happening that made me have to sort of evaluate who am I? You know, what's my thing? What do I do? Am I a professor? Well, not full time. Am I a film and video professional? Well, yeah, but more per project, and again, not a full-time thing. So am I a gig worker now? Maybe. But what do I like doing? I like building guitars. I like building guitars a lot. So it kind of hit me. It's like, well, I'm 61. I can tap into my retirement. A lot of folks that say, dude, don't even think it. But it became an interesting solution. So the short version of what I ended up doing was took up a piece of my retirement and cashed it out. And a couple days ago, we took a big piece of it. We paid off the mortgage. We own our house now. We own our house. Any weirdness that happens from this point forward, we own our house. And man, that's a great feeling. So, the other thing was, well, and this is the point that you care about, I hope. I'm not finding work. I love making guitars. Let's do it for real. And, you know, I know that, of course, you know, Tunguska Guitars has been around for a while in name, and Mark and I have been doing stuff for a while together, and we've made a handful of guitars, and we sold a couple. But we both love doing this, so it's for real now. We, as of today, Tunguska Guitars LLC is an actual business, an actual business. So why June 30th? One, it's the 1-year anniversary of my life getting changed for better or ill. Better. But also, the name Tunguska Guitars. The name comes from the Tunguska event, where in 1908, somewhere over Siberia, something really big almost hit the Earth. Most people think it was a comet that vaporized above the ground and laid waste to everything below it. Flattened trees in a radial pattern, but no crater. The estimate is that it felled more than 60 million trees in an area larger than 2,000 square kilometers. This has fascinated me since I was a kid. Like when I first heard about it, it hit every geek nodule I've got in my brain, because they were saying, oh, maybe it was a mini black hole that passed through the Earth, or maybe, according to eyewitness accounts of the time, it actually changed path, changed its trajectory as it was heading towards the Earth, suggesting that it was an alien spacecraft that vaporized when its nuclear engines exploded. I mean, I was totally eating this stuff up. Most likely it was a comet. It was probably a ice comet, and the heat from passing through the atmosphere superheated the ice, caused it to explode. And I can't remember how far above the ground it was. It was, maybe I'll post it here in the thingy. But anyway, this event that has captivated me for most of my life happened on June 30th, 1908. Serendipity, coincidence, delusion. All of these things are true. So anyway, that's why this day is important, at least to me. Yeah, I was talking to Mark and saying, hey, I think this is the day we need to pull the trigger. And he was like, absolutely. So anyway, Mark's coming over in a second. We're going to hear what he's got to say about all this. And hope that you enjoy this series as it progresses, outlining the process of a couple of dudes who want to make guitars starting a business without a lot of experience doing such things. Woohoo! No guts, no glory.
This all started basically with us doing guitars for the Great Guitar Build-Off.
Yeah.
And that worked out great because it was just sort of something we did on the side. And the thing of it is, we were churning out guitars that looked and sounded and played really, really well.
Yeah.
So that kind of propped up as a backup plan.
Yeah.
For you.
Yeah, and it really was like, well, if I can ramp up my own, all the woodworking stuff to the level where, what does that become? We have to do all that math. How many do you have to make, and materials and all that stuff. But it still seemed like worth at least pursuing the thought experiment. And then the thing that was just as I know I mentioned before, the whole digging into the Tunguska event just to make sure what was on our website was correct. And my buddy Jay Nungesser made the Comet logo. I can't remember. I think it was you that pointed out that the Comet looks like a guitar.
The logo looks like a guitar. It really does.
And it's like, all right, there we go. So that's the name.
Serendipity strikes again.
Absolutely, and I can never argue with serendipity because I don't know where it lives. One of the reasons that I personally kind of developed the nerve to do this and the belief that maybe it was a thing we could do is because of you.
What did I do?
You came along and said, I like these are cool, I'd really like to be part of it.
No, I think the conversation that we had, I remember saying that I believe in the product, and that what that comes down to is the product has reached a sufficient level of quality that I believe that we can make our particular style of instruments better than anybody else. And what we have put out and what we've actually sold to people so far, like even before forming the company, we've actually sold instruments to people. Those instruments have turned out at such a level of quality that it would be stupid not to continue down this road and to take it to the next level. And what that means is actually having a real company.
Yeah.
And that means actually putting pen to paper, having a business plan, actually forming an LLC, and starting to do things, starting to think about things like taxes, workers' comp, insurance, all the things you would need to do to actually have a business and have it be successful in such a way that we're actually going to put out instruments that strangers would buy. Because so far, the instruments that we have made, we've sold to people that were either acquaintances or good friends or near good friends.
Yeah. And that's in the process of trying to come up with this this business idea. And that's a lot of what this whole series, which will not be a consistent series because we're gonna learn stuff and tell you what we've learned after we've learned it. Hopefully after we've not made mistakes.
And we're going to make mistakes.
And we're going to make mistakes because we've never done this before. So Mark and I went to the local small business development center here in Cincinnati. We need workman's comp insurance because we're playing with whirling blades of death. If the insurance company says, well, how'd you get hurt? And if you've ever been in a wreck or anything, you know this. They say, were you hurt at work? And I would have to say yes. And if I say yes, they're going to say, well, you're not covered because that's work. I was like, oh, fuck. So we have to look at that. We have to look at business insurance because now these tools are involved in that. There is we've got the LLC, which goes live today, which is so freaking cool. There's the EIN number, the employment identification number. We have to have that to have a bank account. Have to have the bank account so we can do wholesale.
If you want to do wholesale with any other business that does business to business type of work, you have to have an EIN.
Yeah.
And that sort of arrangement between businesses is crucial because we're going to be operating on a level where we can't afford to pay retail for all of our tools and all of our raw materials. I mean, we're still paying pretty much retail for the woods that we're buying right now, but that's going to change very, very rapidly as we scale up.
Part of the thing that has been tricky about this is how do we get them in front of people? Advertising clearly. So that's another thing we have to think about is what's our marketing budget? What's our marketing look like?
The indirect marketing angle is the other half of the equation, which is this stuff.
Yep. Yep.
If you guys are wondering why we make these videos, it's basically because YouTube will use its algorithm to put this kind of content in front of you that you're interested in. And that is our way of indirectly marketing what we do to you. It just happens to be interesting, and we try to make it interesting.
We try to make it interesting. One of the things that we realized we needed to do was have at least one of every instrument that we plan on making. And we started making the list and realized there's a dozen of them.
Some of which are still in progress right now.
Yeah. It's like, and some have never been made before. So let's go down the list real quick. See if we can remember them all. So there's the V1. There's the V4, which was Kent wants to build something groovy like an Explorer, but not. So then there's the V5, which was the guitar that I built for my buddy Jeff, and then for Beth, and then for
that was when I first started working on the guitars with you.
Well, and one of the things that I also appreciate about having you on board is you'll be honest. I think that was really, really important.
I try to balance it out though. Like I will give you like feedback about what's wrong with a design. And I think that only serves to make the design better because we go back to the drawing board on it. But I also point out the things that work really, really well so that we can exaggerate those to make those more part of the design language of the guitar and make it more of a Tunguska guitar.
So we got the V5, which we love. And then there's two variants that we've been calling the Jazz and the Kaiju, which are a little more accessible designs of the V5. It doesn't have quite such a Baroque extremism. And I like Parkers, I like RDs, I like Deacons. You know, I like all the, and if it's a weird shape, I love it.
Between the two of us, we actually own several of those guitars you just mentioned.
Yeah. Even that being said, something that looks a little more like a traditional guitar would not be something bad to have in the arsenal. So that's where those two designs came from, and they were very much informed by Mark's idea. There's the V6, which is essentially our take on a S-style. It's you're going to have pickguard mounted pickups, single coils. Then there's the M5, the Mach 5. That's the one I did for the guitar build-off 2 years ago, and that I don't think I really thought about that as a potential model until it got finished.
Well, yeah. Once it had strings on it, and you could actually play it and look at it from 10 feet away and say, "That's a gorgeous-looking guitar."
Yeah.
That I think is when it became less of a one-off project, and that became like something that someone else might want too.
The mouse, it's a proof of concept, and the shape is cool, and you know it's going to be fun to make. There's also the KZ1, the semi-hollow I've been dying to make for ages, bent sides and all. Based on Mark's thoughts about the V5 Jazz, is we realized the only bass we've ever done is the bass half of the Barbarella double neck. So, and the double neck could be a custom order too. I mean, I think that we definitely should have that in the list. It's just I'm not going to make another one just now.
No, I think that we should probably hold off on that.
But we are going to make a bass.
Yes, we are.
And I'm really starting to like where this design is headed on that bass. It's gone through about 3 iterations so far.
And just so you guys know, the way it works is Kent and I, we draw things. In my case, it was a drawing on a piece of paper that I took a picture of with my phone and I sent it to Kent. Kent came back having put that into Illustrator, and now it's got all kinds of textures on it. And it goes back and forth between the two of us, and we make small changes, iterate on the design until we're happy with what we've got. And believe me, what we came up with for the Jazz and for these next throughs, I think this is like another step ahead of where we were before.
Yeah.
I mean, I really think that the Phoenix, that really kind of informed me on what we're capable of in terms of the complexity of the design. I said I wanted something a little bit more traditional.
Yeah.
Something that was a little more accessible, but still had the same Tunguska design language. In other words, leverage on that Tunguska design language while also maintaining something of a more traditional design. Now, it's taken a couple of left turns since that conversation. And while we have something of a more traditional body design, it's gone from 0 to 60 in about 2.6 seconds.
Yeah.
Mark said, you know, maybe I want a 7-string, and maybe I want a multi-scale. The reason that we're going through this list of instruments is these are the ones we're going to spend the next 6 months making one of each, so we can go to shows and bring some product, or somebody can say, hey, I want to play one of these, and we can say, if you go to this shop over here, or you know, we've supplied a few things.
And the thing is, if you go to like a regional guitar show, like the Ohio Guitar Show, the space you have, you're going to have enough space there to show off a sizable number of instruments, you know, 6 or 8 instruments, and I think we can probably do that. You go to the NAMM show though, and if you get a little tiny space in the Luthier's Hall, it's a space about the size of this workbench. So out of the 12 or 13 or 14 instruments we'll make, we'll probably wind up choosing the best 3.
There's another whole conversation about, okay, backdrops, and you know, how do we dress up our booth so it's pretty and doesn't break the bank, because I know how much this stuff costs. I used to do this for a living.
Yes. We're custom luthiers. We're making guitars one at a time.
Yeah.
And that's about to get changed a little bit, but it's not like we've got like significant stock of instruments we can send out to Guitar Center.
Right.
We're not that type of a shop. But that's also the attraction, and that's what makes this product worth buying, is people can get something that was worked on by a human being one at a time, not made in a factory, because your approach to manufacturing in a factory is completely inverted from the way you do things one at a time. That's where we have to kind of shift our thinking now, is if we're going to be a business and actually start offering these up for sale, we do have to put some time into making the stock and actually getting it out into the hands of the potential buyer.
All of this just, it just kept feeling more and more like, wow, this is actually a real company. You know, we're making guitars, we're making custom guitars, we're trying to make guitars that are reproducible in a relatively efficient, quick way.
Yeah, exactly. And that's one of the points I was going to make. Was we actually had a conversation very early on in which we decided we were going to break it down into basically 3 categories. We're going to have a standard line, which is basically our standard stock guitars. Like, we're going to make a V5, a V6, and the next 3 series, and those will be guitars we basically make and we offer for sale.
Yep.
And then the second line will be our custom stuff, which is the same instruments, only customized to the player's specific preferences. And that's going to be just priced a little bit higher, not terribly higher than what the standard line is. But then the third tier is going to be art guitars, which is basically what Mark and Kent sort of dream up and is not necessarily something that's reproducible on a mass scale.
Right.
So a Keef or a Phoenix,
Yeah.
those guitars, I mean, I think those should be one-offs and those should be priced in the stratosphere.
Yep. As this series progresses, you will learn, how am I going to say this? This is not legal advice. I said that in my intro, and nothing that we say about this business starting thing is legal advice. We're just going to tell you what happened to us as we were doing it.
For better or for worse.
Yeah. Okay, well, I think we probably milked this as far as we possibly can.
Pretty much. I'm thinking we got it down.
Yeah. So,
Partner?
officially, this is for real.
Today.
Right now. Like, subscribe, comment, do the stuff he said.
Yeah.